What is up, my friends? It is Sunday night, and you are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. We're going to be asking, do you agree with Carragher? Do you have concerns around Isak and maybe he won't fit in at Liverpool? We'll give you more on that in a while, but we do have a poll running asking, do you have any concerns about Isak maybe not succeeding at Liverpool? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about FSG sacking a coach. That isn't Arne Slot. It's, of course, the Red Sox coach. We'll talk about how much Liverpool may want for Alisson Becker, if indeed he does depart for Juventus. We'll have a little talk about the left-back situation, a bit on Marco Senesi as well, and a few other bits and pieces that we hope will keep you right up to date. As always, my friends, I hope you've had a lovely weekend, and thank you for coming in and having a chat with me this evening. Lots to discuss. Of course, happy with yesterday's victory over Crystal Palace. It was good to finally get one over on Oliver Glasner's side. Liverpool in the lofty position of 4th in the Premier League table. Of course, we'll build up to the game next weekend against Manchester United, and we'll try and figure out anything else that we can to keep us sane with where we're at with Liverpool, right? So let's get stuck into it. Loads to go through this evening, and I want to kick off with a conversation around, let's go with Salah, actually. There's a piece that was put out from Transfer News Live earlier on that said, Al Nassr manager Jorge Jesus wants to sign Mohamed Salah on a free transfer this summer. The prospect of Mohamed Salah and Cristiano Ronaldo leading the line together has moved a significant step closer, this piece said. I don't know about that. Is Mane's contract up at the end of this season with Al Nassr or something? Because I don't think you're going to get the two of them on the pitch playing together again. I really would be very surprised if that was the case. So unless his contract is up there or something, I don't know. But it looks like certainly Saudi haven't given up hope of bringing Mohamed Salah over there when his contract with Liverpool expires. A little bit more on Salah's injury, by the way. The Egyptian technical director of the national team said that he thinks Salah should be fit for the World Cup, but may struggle to get back fit for Liverpool again before the end of the season. I think there's some hope that maybe the last game, perhaps, but again, we'll give you a definitive on that as of when, of course, we get it. Nomad said, I've been watching La Liga all day in Premier Sports, and the difference in quality is clear. La Liga is so much more enjoyable than the Prem. So I've also been watching La Liga today on Premier Sports, and I have to say I was pretty bored of it. I watched the Osasuna-Sevilla game, which only really caught fire in the last 15 minutes or so. Before that, it was pretty pedestrian. Then I started watching the AC Milan-Juventus game, and I got bored of that quite quickly as well. So I don't know. I think the Premier League's in a good spot, but I do think it's more competitive in there this year. I mean, you look at La Liga, even how condensed that is. I mean, I keep tabs on Elche and how they're doing. And one win for them pushed them right up from just above the relegation zone up to, I think, 13th. So a lot of leagues seem to be quite congested this year in the middle. It seems to be just a much more competitive year across the board. I mean, look at how condensed the European chasing pack is in the Premier League as well. I don't care about results. We don't play like Liverpool. Our identity is gone. I can't see us succeeding, said Andrew Eastley. So this has been a dilemma for me, Andrew, all season. I'd like to think that results are all that matter to me, Andrew. And if you asked me this at the start of the season, I probably would have said to you, results are all that matter. But as the year's gone on, as we've been subjected to the style of football that we have, I have to admit, it's made me rethink my thoughts a little bit because, you know, even let's say the last couple of games where we've won, I haven't really enjoyed it, nor have I enjoyed a lot of this season. So I have to say I'm a bit more wanting a bit more substance as well, mate, as well as results, of course. But you aren't wrong. The identity of our football club isn't what it was with regards to the way we play on the pitch. It just isn't. So yeah, I'm not against that either, mate. I'm pretty annoyed right now. I'm going to go on a rant about FSG in a few minutes, but I'm pretty annoyed at the way the club's been allowed to just drift and drift and drift. I don't know any Liverpool fans that think whatever happens this summer, we're going to have a successful season next year if Slot's here. It'll be better, but nobody feels it's going to be successful. But you know, as the days and weeks have gone by recently, I've found that my anger, frustration, it's moving away from Slot a little bit because I feel as if there's problems above him that needs to be sorted out. And I think that those above him are allowing this situation to be where it is. And that's where my thought process has been for the last week. We've had our say about Slot plenty of times. And he isn't changing. His style isn't changing. But I think we need to concentrate on how he's been allowed for it to get this bad. That's where I think we need to be talking about as fans. What's going on with FSG? What's going on with Hughes? What's going on with Edwards? What's going on with recruitment? What's going on with contracts? Just the club feels a bit messy. It feels totally to me like eyes have been taken off the ball already. This has just been mental though. Like I know, sorry, I'm going to bang on about this again, but how do we get from last summer to this? How do we get from that optimism to this? I have to say, as a Liverpool fan right now, I feel completely devoid of any excitement for next season. I really do, and I'm so sad about it. Right now, I'm sitting here just waiting for this season to peter out. You know, I think we will safely tuck ourselves into the Champions League spots. And I've got zero anticipation for next season. I'm not even... Look, I'm looking at the signings. I'm thinking about the signings. I'm trying to figure out who will come in. But it all feels redundant to me if he's still the manager, because nothing's going to change for me. It might get a little bit better, but the same philosophies are still going to be there. The same brand of football that isn't exciting us now, I think, is still going to be there. And it's really difficult to get yourself excited for the future at the minute. Gary said, if you're a slot, do you want to go into the final year of your contract? Seems strange to me, being backed apparently but no contract. Absolutely not, Gary. And to be fair, mate, we've talked about this as well. Like, we look at this from one side, obviously. We look at it from the fan side, wanting better. But from his side, if I'm him or his agent, what you've said there makes absolute sense. I'd be asking, well, if you're supporting me, support me. Because you want me to buy into the project, but you got to buy into me as well. So I'm right with you on that one, Gary. It seems as if you really believe this was the guy, you would back him. You would back him, because right now, if you believe in him, and if you're FSG, you're probably going to get him on a more reasonable sum than if he proves this year that you were right to back him. He's probably going to ask for a lot more money. So right now, if you truly believe in him, I would argue financially this is the best time to try and get him to sign on the dotted line. Hamoudi, how are you, bro? Said, I'm really not looking forward to the United match considering the injuries we have, especially Salah. I don't know what to expect, bro, in the United match next week. You know, look at the games you've got coming up. They should be games where I feel so excited, right? United, Chelsea, Villa. I don't know. I'm just struggling to have much. And I don't know if it's because there's not really much for us to play for left. I don't know if that's factored into it. You know, this is a time of the year where football can drift a little bit, you know, when your club's not really involved in the latter stages of anything. I don't really think there's much jeopardy on the Champions League spot. I think we're there, and I think we'll stay there because those in and around us or below us aren't going to be consistent enough. The relegation zone battle, that's an intriguing one. The Championship, that's an intriguing one, but we're not involved in that. So yeah, it kind of feels like we're just drifting through now to the end of the season. Oliver said, Craig, am I a bad supporter for taking a bit of distance to Liverpool? My mood is just sinking. No. I think you've summarised, Oliver, how a lot of us feel. We're just a little bit distant. A little bit. I'm like, you know me, mate. I'm a passion merchant. I'm usually on here excited, bullish about transfers, hoping for positivity going down the line. I just can't bring myself to feel anything at the minute. I feel numb. I feel like I'm talking myself into watching Liverpool matches rather than anticipating and looking forward to them. Mark, CTN, thank you, bro, for becoming a member. Absolute legend. So, myself and Connor were thinking, what can we do to add a little bit more to Anfield Agenda? So, you're going to see a bit of a shake-up over the next couple of months with regards to the Clips channel and what that entails, what's going to be out on there. We don't want to give too much away yet, but we're looking to build out our content a bit more, and we think that the Clips channel, which will be rebranded soon enough, is the way to go with that. So do keep your eye on that one. We may even be looking for your help on it, so watch that space. So anyway, let's get to the Isak stuff, because you're probably wondering why I've come up with, are you concerned about Isak? It's not because I have any particular concerns about Isak. It's because of something Jamie Carragher said. Now let me read that out to you, and then you'll see why I've put the poll in that I have. So this from Jamie Carragher. Wirtz also failed to live up to his price tag, but at least he's shown promise, while Isak hasn't looked anything close to the striker he was at St James's Park. And Carragher has condemned Isak after claiming no star Liverpool player in the past has done so little in their debut season. The big spending summer hasn't worked, he said to the Liverpool Echo. It might work in the future because I don't think you can judge every signing in the first year. But I've said this before, my experience as a Liverpool player, every player who came to the club, I can't remember one who didn't really do much in his first season and then was a revolution afterwards. Isak hasn't got going. He obviously got the injury, but he didn't look great to start with. In terms of what Liverpool need to do next season, well, obviously they need to replace Salah. I think for me, 3 players need to come straight into the team. You can't go and buy 5 players into the team. Liverpool bought a lot of players last summer, so they're not going to buy a load this summer. So I just want to know where your heads are at with Isak, because I get Jamie Carragher's point, and the biggest concern I think we've had when we talked about Isak this season has been the cohesion. It doesn't look like it's all figured out from his side, from the players around him side, from the coaching side. It all looks a little bit like it was an afterthought and now we're trying to make it fit. So that's why I'm asking if you guys got any concern about Isak moving forward, because when we signed him, I think we all had concerns that maybe he'd have some injuries. You know, that was a concern that we spoke about. But we also thought, look, if he can stay injury free, you've got one hell of a player who knows where the net is. So I don't know how to feel about Isak signing, other than I'm not writing him off because he's a really good player. But it's an interesting point CARRA makes. You know, has there ever been a player who really has had such a stop-start first year at Liverpool that's really gone on to be something incredible? So yeah, just thought it was an interesting talking point, and that's why we've got the poll running tonight. The first question is, are you worried that Isak won't succeed at Liverpool? James said, my only worry about Isak is his injuries. If he can stay fit, he'll be a great player. That's probably mine as well, James. I do think we'll figure it out with regards to his movements and how to get the best out of him. I think adding a winger or 2 into the mix for next season will certainly help with that as well. And it will be interesting because I think it's fair to say right now, if we're on the balance of season 1, Ekitike's had a better first season. But it's going to be really interesting to see what happens now in the time between Isak being back and Ekitike coming back at some point next season. If Isak can really hammer home the fact that he's the guy now. He's the number 9. He's going to be our first choice centre forward. It'll be interesting to see if he can live up to that. And, of course, if he can stay fit. Now, on the fitness thing, got a video later on tonight with a bit of a mad shout. So keep an eye out for that one later on. A bit of a mad shout for me about how we can sort out that situation up top. Itachi said, evening all, Isak and Wirtz will be like new signings next season. Well, look, for Wirtz, certainly you would hope so, you know, because this season's been him finding his feet, finding out what the league is like. There have been pockets and moments with Wirtz where you look at him and think, yeah, I see it, you know, it's there. But, you know, when you come in with such a hefty, like, think about it this way, £241 million for Isak and Wirtz. That is a lot of money that the club have put out there. And the pressure that comes with that, it's going to be there. It just is. You know, that is a lot of money. £241 million on 2 players. So, yeah, the expectation, especially around Wirtz, is really going to ramp up next season. I mean, I'm not saying I've given him a free pass this season, but I've certainly stood off a little bit from criticising him because I want to give him that first year. I want to let him settle in. But he needs to really kick on next year. But I wonder, you know, with Salah leaving, with Robertson leaving, with other senior players leaving, are we going to get those new focal points? You know, will it be give the ball to Isak, give the ball to Wirtz? Are they going to be the ones that we look to make things happen, to have those big moments in the future? At least that's the hope. We have to, right? We have to hope they're the ones, because we've been so blessed for years to have the likes of Mohamed Salah or Mane or Firmino or others who stepped up in those big moments. So who is going to carry us forward? Who are going to be the next superstars? 241 million spent, you'd absolutely hope that it's going to be Isak and Wirtz. Harry said, I agree, Craig. Isak was injury prone at Newcastle and Slot doesn't appear to have the best record for protecting players from injury so far. Which is weird. You know, I don't like that the injuries have been used as an excuse this year. It doesn't sit well with me, because every manager in the history of football moans about injuries when they happen and uses them as a way to justify the season not being as good as they wanted to. But I don't think it holds water, because it's part and parcel of a season. And we seem to be the only club that kind of go, oh my God, injuries? Oh, how did that happen? Like, we never seem to have the robustness or the built-out squad to cope with them. Despite all the seasons where we're talking about wanting to build up the squad, if we really want to go out there and compete in every competition, as if we want to win it, then let's be honest with ourselves here. That squad's going to need to be built out a lot more. And we cannot get into the situation where we're carrying 16 players a manager trusts. It has to be built out more, because that's what we want. Success. We want to win. I can't go through another season where I have to hear about the League Cup being written off because the manager wants 3 points in the league. That's bullshit. That's a trophy out the window. So I want this summer to be about making sure whoever comes in is at least good enough that when we need to rotate, we're not going to see a mad drop off in calibre. And that's why I'm so angry at the idea of Costas coming back. That just, to me, just screams, let's just make do and not push on. And I'm going to stand my ground a lot over the next few months, because for some reason, success has become a dirty word and standards seem to be ridiculed. I'll make no apologies for wanting Liverpool to win. I'll make no apologies for wanting us to capitalise on moments of success that we have. But I will never ever sit here and accept the standards dropping at the football club the way they have and just take it. It's just ridiculous to see so many people acknowledge these failures and just excuse them. It's not good enough. That's how we got into this mess before. We took our eye off the ball. We allowed United to become a financial behemoth and we fell away. We didn't back up Jurgen's league title. We didn't learn a lesson from that. Yeah, here we are again. And they're talking about the churn of players again as if the squad wasn't planned out by people at the club. All of these decisions have been made in advance. All of these decisions should fall back on Hughes, Edwards and FSG. But they seem to get a pass a lot of the time. Irvin, how are you, my man? Said, I'm confident if we play for him, like our style. I guess the question there is, Irvin, how much are we going to have to bend and shape our style to suit a player? Should it not have been that players were brought in to enhance the formation and the way that we already play, rather than bring in players and then try to rip it all up and make it fit a new group? It just seems like the task becomes harder when you're bringing in players who naturally wouldn't be a fit to the way you want to play and you have to reshape it around them. Then I start to question where the footballing philosophies are and what the identity is. That's the biggest concern for me this season. What's the identity? What are we doing? What are we playing? Like, it's, you know, a lot of Liverpool fans come out with the same thing. We're not enjoying the brand of football. That's important, right? There is a way of playing. And we're not seeing a way of playing that we can relate to or that we enjoy. So that has to change, because it's just going to get worse. The atmosphere is going to get worse. Fans are going to get more frustrated. And I want to talk about the Boston Red Sox and FSG in a minute, because something I read today has completely just wound me up. What plans have FSG got after Hughes and Edwards slot all depart in a year? You're right to ask that question, Stevie boy. And I think that's a question that should be spoken about more by Liverpool fans. Because you're supposed to plan 2-3 windows in advance. You're supposed to look a year 2 in advance. Well, we don't know who's going to be running the club in that sense in 12 months' time, with no communication from the owners, no interviews or anything from Hughes or Edwards about their future, nothing. It just feels like yet again we're walking into another issue and another headache, which will lead to a fall off on the pitch, which will lead to more excuses. It's just not enough. I don't know why. For some reason, some people seem to almost revel in failure and say, oh, well, we don't do these things because it's the Liverpool way. I don't like the Liverpool way being hijacked for failure. The Liverpool way is about winning. It's about playing attacking football and winning. That's it. And winning again. And rebuilding and winning again. And again and again and again. It's hard to climb the mountain. And as a fan, it's really frustrating to see when your team gets to the top of that mountain, immediately we start coming back down the other side of it. And that's what we've had to live with in our lifetimes. Think about it. We've had sporadic success for the last 30 years. We haven't had a Manchester City era. We haven't had a Manchester United era. We haven't had even a Chelsea Mourinho era. We've had a bit of success, then expectations somehow get lowered. All of a sudden, we accept failure a little bit. We all argue with each other about the direction of the club and the standards. And then, rinse, repeat, we go again. Jordan said, I thought we played really well yesterday. More intensity. I'll be okay if Slot stays if it continues. We beat United. So, I thought we were bang average yesterday, Jordan. And if you look at the underlying numbers from the game, they had more shots on target than we did. I think double. We had 3 shots on target and we scored from every one of them. We didn't control the game. We had moments in the game. I didn't see a great performance there yesterday. And yeah, maybe the players put in a bit more of a decent shift. But again, just remember what a good performance looks like. And tell me that at home against Palace was a good performance. It wasn't. It was nowhere near a good performance. Only if Slot goes, Isak and Wirtz will improve, said Paul. XX Cope Sanity said, I know it's a different sport, but same management. The Boston Red Sox got rid of their coach and staff a couple of days ago. They're having a bad season, and the only way I think Slot will be gone is if we miss the Champions League. So I'm glad you brought that up, because it gives me a natural segue into my little FSG rant. Seen this earlier on. FSG sacked the Boston Red Sox coach at the, let's say, early middle part of the season after a shit start. Now, why is it that at Liverpool we're expected to accept a shit coach that can't get the game played the way we want? And everybody says it's not the Liverpool or FSG way to sack a coach mid-season. Well, when it's their beloved Boston Red Sox that they actually give a fuck about, how is it they can sack an underperforming coach there mid-season? And if you want to have a little glimpse into the real FSG, let me read you out this that was posted from Foul Territory. Garrett Whitlock says players weren't allowed to ask questions about Alex Corra's dismissal in a team meeting with John W. Henry, Sam Kennedy and Craig Breslow. They made it very clear that we get paid to play baseball and we just need to focus on playing baseball. So that's where we're at with FSG. When the Red Sox need somebody to step up and fire the head coach, all of a sudden it can be done. But when it's Liverpool, we get all these fucking simps telling us that that's not the FSG way. FSG don't remove coaches mid-season. Which one is it? Same owners. So why is it when we're underperforming, they just want to shut their eyes, put their fingers in their ears and let us roll on? But when the Red Sox are underperforming, they can get their finger out, fire the head coach and all the staff, go into the dressing room and tell the players to shut up and play baseball? Same fucking owners. Bilal, Craig, I want to marry you. I think that's already happened, mate. How was Slot's squad injury record in the past, said Colin. He had a really good record for injuries. At Feyenoord, as I've said before, himself and Ruben Peters managed to keep like 90% plus availability rate of first team players. Which I've always, if you watch back last season, Colin, I've always said that was the reason I think we won the league in Slot's first year. Was that he was able to just eke out a little bit more to get us over the line. And burnout was a little bit less. And he was able to prevent injuries a little bit better. And I think that was the difference than the season before when we just hit a brick wall and the wheels fell off. But then this season comes around and the same things again, that he was brought in under a fanfare, similar brand of football, good at injury prevention, overachieving with smaller money. And then he comes in, gets given loads of fucking money, fails. And all of a sudden everybody's like, oh yeah, well, we'll just let him stay on. Let him stay on another year. Irvin says the Liverpool way is being abused at this point. It is. It's been hijacked by people who just want to justify being top Reds. That's it. It's almost as if wanting to be successful is a dirty word. And you're right, mate. It is. It's fucking nonsense. They always wheel out the stupid, cheesy Shankly quotes out of context to try to justify failure. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I thought, was selling Ali in the summer always the plan? Use Georgie first, Woodman second. Woodman seems better than third, but Georgie hasn't played enough. So, no, Woodman was never part of the plan to be in the first two of the goalkeepers. But there is a concern, Camel Deep, that maybe Georgie hasn't progressed enough. And I was reading a piece earlier on about that from Graham Bailey. Graham Bailey, this was posted by Anfield Edition, said Alisson is increasingly open to a move to Juventus this summer. Although Liverpool have been planning for the long term with the signing of Georgi Mamardashvili, there are internal concerns about whether the Georgian has fully developed as expected, complicating any decision to move on from the current number one. Now, it's a tough one to figure out what they mean by hasn't developed as expected. I don't know what they mean by that, because he wasn't getting some of the cup games that maybe he should have, and he's only going to progress by playing, and Alisson was always going to be the number one this year. So I don't really understand this narrative now. It's like some people have already made their mind up on Georgie that he isn't good enough. Some in the media, some from a fan perspective. And look, I don't know if he is or isn't. I don't think we've seen enough of him yet. But the Alisson situation isn't going to go away. And I think it's looking probable that he leaves this summer. And we'll talk about a potential price tag in a bit. But there was another interesting piece, Camel Deep, I read coming out of Italy that said Juventus want him, and there was a potential for a part exchange or a swap with Di Gregorio, whatever the keeper Juventus name is, coming to us and Alisson going to Juventus. Now, if you think back to last summer, there was, or maybe it was before then, whenever they signed him as a keeper, there was links to us as well at the time. But again, my question would be, why would we bring in a goalkeeper that isn't good enough for Juventus to us? That concerns me. So the whole goalkeeping department at the minute does concern me. And I feel like we've gone from having an absolutely stacked goalkeeping department, the envy of many clubs, to a situation now where we're scrambling around again trying to figure out what the fuck we're doing. You know, like when they brought in Georgi Mamardashvili, I hope they didn't expect him to be a ball-playing goalkeeper, pinging out 40, 50-yard diagonal passes, because it's not his game. And it was never going to be his game. He's a shot stopper. He's a physical presence. That's what he is. So, yeah, that's just more confused thinking that I'm worried about. There's a lot of things, small things. But when you add up all these small little things, it just puts me in a position where I'm a bit skeptical as a fan about the direction we're going in. And a bit skeptical about the people that are driving us in that direction. David said, so Slot is staying for sure, Craig. If so, I think Isak might struggle under Slot. I'm quite concerned. Such a good player. And the teammates will be even worse. So, David, I'm absolutely convinced now that they're just removing any strong personality players from the club, or any of the ones with experience there of the Jurgen era and maybe a bit more outspoken about the standards. And they're bringing in sheep, people who just won't speak out, people who will accept this slot bullshit and not have strong opinions about it. I'm really worried about that. Really worried about it, because it looks directionless. Like, we don't even know what way Slot wants to play next season or now. There's just so much going on now that last summer feels a year that's felt like 10. It feels so long ago that I can't even remember how we got here. You know, it feels like, do you remember under Ferguson, in his last season, United won the league, and then the next manager inherited a team that the wheels were just about ready to come off? It feels like that 1 year under Arne Slot where they did nothing in the market is coming back to catch up with us now. That the rebuild is now knocking in, and we're going into a third year when this could have been done in 2, and we would have had a better idea of where we were going. And now I wonder, because best case scenario, Slot stays in, and we get back to challenging next year. That's best case scenario. But worst case scenario, and probably far more likely, is that we end up in a situation where next season's a bit up and down again. We don't look like ourselves. We're not as well drilled defensively as we should be. And Slot's out of here by November. No managers then available on the market. A very frustrating year for fans where another year's been written off. And none of that's acceptable. So whatever they're doing, like our friend said a few minutes ago, I hope they just commit to it fully. Because if they want to back Slot, then commit to it fully by showing he's your guy, backing him and building it. But when you let the uncertainty creep in, which they are doing, I know they're going out there every day to say he's staying. But like that gentleman said earlier on, giving him a contract clears all that up. And if you did really believe in somebody, you would imagine that you'd want to secure them. And even from a business perspective, signing somebody, like, it's like saying, let's sign a musician that has had a decent album, but the next album's coming out, and if the next album's amazing, then that musician's value has gone up to the roof and you're going to have to pay a lot more. With Slot right now, you have him, and if you believe in him, you could probably get him on the cheap. And you can probably get his wage price down a bit from what you'd have to pay if he's here next year and he had success. The success that you believe he's going to have, you're going to pay more for that. So, if you believe in him, put your money where your mouth is. But they aren't. Where was this energy when Slot won us the title? So, smart arse comment aside, it was still here. If you watch the fucking channel, you'd know that. Rather than just try to come in to be a smart arse. Do you not think I've heard that comment a million times at this point? I'm one of the few people who was calling it out last year at the end of the season when the title was won and they were all off partying and we were acting like a tin pot club. I was here calling it out, asking about the standards. So, smart arse. That energy was always here. So, next. And Slot didn't win us fuck all. He didn't kick a single ball. What did he do so drastically different that won us the league last year? We won the league because the players stepped up and won the league. All Arne Slot's proved is that when he gets a chance to put his own stamp on it, he shits the bed and doesn't know what to do. So fuck you. I'm not here to take your smart arse opinions, you fucking prick. If you've got something to say, back up what you've got to say, or fuck off, because I'm not in the humour for it. Smart arses like you contribute nothing. You come on, try to shit on people, and disappear. You don't have an original thought in your head. You don't have a debate to have. You don't have a viewpoint to defend. You offer nothing to society, to this chat, or to anybody, except being a fucking smart arse. And I'm done with people like you. You don't deserve it. Hey Craig, I want to know how Slot going to get the best out of the new players next season if he can't even get the best out of these players. He won't. That's the simple answer. He won't. That's it. He won't. All that's going to happen next year is the same excuses are going to be trotted out as this year. New player churn, other players going. It was obviously a transitional season. All the same excuses that we got last year and this year are going to be trotted out again. And that's the honest answer. You know, because like, just boil it all down logically. 5 new players into the first team this year. Everybody says, now, transitional season. So another 4 or 5 players into the first team in the summer. How are we supposed to believe it's going to be any better? Because not only are they being added in then, they're being added in when the players that have joined the team haven't exactly been a roaring success in year one. Some of them have, but they haven't been a roaring success. So when you add it in the first group of players, you're adding into a winning team. And then you come in and you add in the new players who, look, take time to fit in. That's okay. But then you're adding more into that again, and we're supposed to believe it's going to be better. It doesn't make sense. Just boil it all down to that, if nothing else. How can having 10 new players over 2 seasons go well when the coach can't bring in 5 players in year 1 and make it adapt? I can't see how it goes any differently in year 2. Lee, how are we, bro? Mr. Lee Gunner in the chat. My brother, how are we, sir? Always lovely to see you in, Lee. And I'd say your nerves are gone at this point, bro. With the way Arsenal are, mate, and the way the season's going. It's yeah. I'm glad I'm not in your shoes, Lee, to some extent, because yeah, it's going to get tasty, Lee. It's going to get tasty for you lads. But one thing I'll always know about you, Lee, is you'll call it as it is, and you'll say it as it is, my man. Joshua, hey Craig, thanks again for reading my comment yesterday. I'm worried for next season under Slot. If we get rid early in the season and they can't get Alonso, FSG, Hughes, Edwards look silly. It's mad. It is mad because the potential downside for next year is huge if we don't get this right. I'm almost wishing I could go to sleep now, wake up in June when the season's over and see what happens. You know, because the reimagining of what's acceptable to thinking, well, Champions League football keeps him in his job. The only people who want Champions League football as a base level of being enough in the year is the owners. Because fans want it, of course we do. But it's not a defining feature of whether a manager succeeded or failed by qualifying for it. To qualify for the Champions League, you have to be in the top 25% of the Premier League this season. And there is no world, with the money we spent and the talent that we have, that it should even be a debate that Liverpool are in the top 25 in this Premier League title race or this Premier League calendar. So to somehow say that this is acceptable, it's just weird behaviour. Yes, it's been a shitty season, but what have they been doing? They've been trying to compare him to Klopp and saying Klopp had shitty seasons, but it's not comparable. Klopp earned the right to have shitty seasons by taking the club by the scruff of the neck and dragging it to where it is. And in that, yes, there are going to be times where the wheels fell off a bit, exhaustion crept in over a 9-year period. What we have is a coach who came in, won a league title, got given the keys to the kingdom, and can't string 2 good performances together. Vishal said, FSG won't let Slot go or sack him this season. Don't be so naive. We will have a huge overhaul of players, but not Klopp. What the fuck are you talking about, Klopp? What is this video? Well, it's not a video, you dumb fuck. It's a stream for a start. So again, if you're going to come in, Vishal, to try and be a smart arse, try and fucking structure something in a sentence that I can understand, and then I won't have to talk down to you like a fucking idiot. I'm sick of you gobshites. Start your own channel, Vishal. Share all your views with the world and see how easy it is. But when nobody comes watching and you come back into my comments again to try and be a smart arse, just remember, it's not as easy as you think, bro. And I'm trying to cater and speak to everybody from all different backgrounds. But my opinions are my opinions. And I'm not going to water them down for you or anybody else. If you don't like it, debate it. Give a viewpoint. But coming in and just being abusive is just being an arsehole. And it's not going to land well. So debate me, no probs. I'm here for that, as you've seen with every comment I've read out. But coming in and going, oh my God, you're such... Fuck you. How about that? Fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. You add nothing. Off you pop, you fucking arsehole. Honestly, I wish to God I could see some of these people in the real world and put them in their place, because I know more about football than you'll ever know, Vishal, ever. So don't even start this shit. Your sentence doesn't even make sense, for fuck's sake. We in India. So you're the whole of India as well, Vishal, are you? The whole of India. You're making a show of India, mate, is what you're doing. I know some really cool Reds from India, Vishal, and you're making a show of them, bro. Right, let's keep going. Any more arseholes that are in the chat, just do us all a favour now and leave. Save us having to go through this. You know, it's just pointless. You're not adding anything. If you have an opposing viewpoint to mine, say it. Write it out. Type it out. We'll debate it. We'll talk back and forth. But you come in to abuse anybody and you're gone, and I don't give a fuck who you are, how long you're here. Don't care. Respect is a basic minimum. And I'll always give it when I get it, but I'm not putting up with your shit. You think Fabrizio's story that Liverpool have not approached Xabi is true? That and other stories about Slot staying have me nervous. It's you know, I was going to bring this up in a few minutes, Patrick, but I don't know about the Alonso part of it that much, as in I don't know what his information on the Alonso part of it is. I think everything that he said about Liverpool at the end of the season having a meeting to look at the season and look at what's been successful and not successful makes sense. You would imagine that that's going to be in the books anyway. But what I don't understand is the logic of keeping Slot. Like, nobody's put forward a reason to keep him other than trust us. Nobody's been able... Like, you can find 500 reasons why people don't want Slot to stay. And they will be articulated by a lot of different people. So people like me will say, I don't like the brand of football. I don't think he can motivate. We'll all have a reason why we think it isn't going to work. But nobody who wants to keep him has a real justifiable reason. They're not showing us something that is in the data that we've missed. They're not showing us some encouraging signs that maybe we've overlooked. They're just saying, trust us. And I find that very difficult to do without evidence. And I'm the emotional one, you know? So where is this evidence? Where are the signs that it's working or it's going to work? Because when you see, for me, when you see a manager talk about his footballing principles over and over again, and then at the very pinnacle point of our season, when we played Paris Saint-Germain at home and away, the man's footballing principles went out the window. And he went to do the very thing that he railed against all the start of the season. Railed against low blocks and then goes and uses one going over to Paris. And then in the home game, where an idiot would know 4-3-3, press the fuck out of them, feed off the Anfield atmosphere, try and grab a goal. What does this clown do? He goes and plays Isak and Ekitike together with Wirtz off them in a system that we haven't played, when energy is what was needed. And Isak is lots of things, but at this moment in time, high-pressing energy ain't one of them. So rather than doing the sensible thing of bringing him on later in the game, he starts with it. And when did we get a better performance? In the second half. And what did he do? went back to the old trusted 4-3-3 with players that know that fucking system. And people want to praise him for that. What about the other 3/4 of the tie when he shit the bed? On the biggest stage, at the pinnacle point of the season, where you've had months to work it out, to figure out your 11, to figure out a methodology of playing. He cowered down to PSG and Enrique and didn't think his team were good enough. That's the truth of it. He didn't believe his players were good enough to go over there and beat PSG. And that, to me, tells you everything you need to know. Look at the mindset yesterday when he makes the substitutions and he takes off Isak. He puts on another midfielder to try to see out the game. Because that's his mindset. He's too risk averse. And it's just not going to work for us. Anyway, let me read some more of your comments. Red Dinosaur Mother said, Slot has no identifiable style of play, doesn't make new players better, and can connect with the fans. Goodbye. Exactly. I don't get it. I don't, like, who the fuck wants him here? Who believes in him? I don't get it. They're sabotaging their own club, their own season, their own fan base. It's mental to me. Lee said the standards have been set. Don't ever drop them. Best club in England and the classiest club in England too. Keep the standards, guys. Great club, always have been. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you, Lee. So ironically, Lee, me and you often get called out for the same things, which is basically trying to hold our clubs to the standards that we believe they should be at. And we get ridiculed for it, for having standards, or wanting more, or speaking out against the grain. It's weird. I don't know how the lunatics have taken over the asylum. I don't get it. Adam, and by the way, let me say this really clear, just because people probably came in halfway through me calling that lad a gobshite. Let me just make something really clear, just so you know the ABCs of me as a guy. If you meet me in life or come into this chat and have a difference of opinion with me in a respectful manner, I will be here for you all day, every day. You'll get all of my time and we can go back and forth, no probs. But I will never allow anybody to come in with the mindset of, look at all these fucking idiots, I'm better, la la la. Not going to wash. You deserve better, I deserve better, and I'm never going to tolerate it. And I don't care how many clips get shared around of me on social media saying, look at the way he speaks to his audience. I don't care, because they're all out of context. And I'll never apologise for basic common decency being a bare minimum in our community. Because if you have it, you're welcome. If you don't have it, best luck elsewhere. Because I'm never going to apologise for that. You deserve that. You deserve better than these fucking idiots that have nothing to contribute but negativity. So yeah, just wanted to make that clear, because if somebody comes in to differ with me, I will happily debate them on it. And I'm here to learn as well. But we got to be respectful. There's too much getting away with shit these days that people deserve a smack in the mouth for. Randy said, I'm still baffled that we've two fit wing backs in Gomez and Frimpong and he starts neither. Yeah, the Frimpong situation is crazy. He hasn't used them at all in the last couple of games in a right back position. Now, Jones has done a good job. Fair play. But again, you got to ask, why did we bring in Frimpong? And especially, why did we bring in... Like, Frimpong feels like a player you might bring in this summer when you're trying to build out a bit. But when you're trying to rebuild the core of the team, bringing in Frimpong makes no sense. Other than it was an opportunistic signing. It's not because Frimpong isn't a good player. I've tried to maintain this. He is. But we don't play the system that gets the best out of him. So that's why I even said when we signed him, I never fully understood the rationale of why we were doing that. You know, because if you look around now, there's a lot of these signings that feel like they're multi-purpose signings, that they can cover 2, 3, 4 positions. And it's always useful to have some of those in a squad. But I think where we've fallen down this year is specialists. No specialist DM. We've fallen down there. So that's what I'd like to see now is to go through and actually look at the squad and go, what do we really need? And how can we improve it? I don't understand the mindset or the acceptability of bringing in Costas. We got rid of him for a reason. Not because he's not a good footballer or not because he's not a nice lad. It's nothing to do with that. But we decided the options that we had were better and we moved them on. And now we're bringing him back in? A guy who can't get into a poor Roma team? Heaven forbid Kirkes gets injured. There's no way we're going through half a season with Costas at left back and it's going to work. So why are we accepting it? It's cheap. And he's going to go for a year for nothing. He's leaving in a year's time then for free. And we've lost that money as well. Like, these decisions don't make any sense. FSG aren't a sacking club. Liverpool aren't a sacking club, but sacks 2 managers, Rodgers and Dalglish, but one sacked Arna. Yeah, injuries are an excuse, even though he had a good record of previous. Liverpool are excuse FC. That's how I feel, Lily. Is they're bending over backwards to make excuses for this guy, and I don't get it. Lee said, facts, tell him. You have a great channel, man. Great community. I need to call Tao. I'm going to watch the rest of this. I'm done. Chat, you have a proper man here. Make sure you know that. Thank you, Lee. I've had the pleasure of meeting and spending time with Lee in the real world. And yeah, very nice, very enjoyable company. And hope to see him again soon. Adam said, Craig, want to subscribe to the Clips channel but can't seem to figure it out. Could you tell me how to do it? Just search Anfield Agenda Clips, and the logo is the reverse of our normal logo. So the normal logo, as you can see from behind me there, is red with white. The new one's white with red on the Clips channel, and if it's any easier for you, mate, just scan that QR code there on the screen, or if you have like an iPhone or that, you can just keep your finger on the QR code and it'll bring it up for you. But yeah, that's for the Clips channel. But appreciate your support, my man. Thank you. Billy Hogan is a disgrace. Laughing at the fans for protesting the ticket price ride. Should be sacked. Mark, that did my head in yesterday, mate. You know, I know. Look, I'm aware that maybe it was an awkward smile, but you know that's coming. He knew that was coming when that protest happened. They knew the cameras were going to pan. So what you need to do is just sit there ashen stone faced. And yeah, it looked weird to me as well, Mark. Christina said, Craig, if you were a politician, I'd put you in charge of education. Respect and standards is what's missing these days. Love what you do. Don't ever change. Thank you, Christina. I'm a very principled human being, and respect is a huge part of that. My father brought me up. My father would slap the shit out of me if I was disrespectful to an older person or anything like that. If I didn't get up and offer my seat to them. If I didn't help them with their luggage on an aeroplane. Respect was drilled into me as a kid. And now that's something that I carry with me through life because it's important. It's important. Firm but fair is what I try to do, Christina, because I want to be open to people as well. But I don't know. Look, you say politician. Funny thing is, I do have ambitions in that regard because for the very reasons you've said, I don't think that there's enough strength at this minute in the current climate. I don't think there's enough strong will. I think too many people are bending the knee for the wrong reasons, and it does my head in. Trooper Landscaping, how are you, sir? So I got one for you. If somebody said we can have Diamande and Slaughterbeck this summer, but Dom has to leave, what are you doing? I'm not taking them. That's how much I think of Dom. Yeah, honestly, I'm not taking them. But I have an idea, or maybe not an idea. I have a shout. Maybe that's it. So I'm going to guess that we move for Schlotterbeck next summer when Virgil's contract is coming to an end, and that he comes in to be the other half of that defence or the future leader of that defence. Because I'm absolutely sound about Canade staying. I have no problem with it. But I just struggle to see Canade as a leader ever. And then, of course, you've got Xhaka and Leone, who are both really young at this point in time, so you can't really talk about them leading a defence. And I do think when Virgil leaves, yes, we'll have experience there with Canade and maybe two good young centre-backs as well. But I just have a feeling Schlotterbeck could be that defensive leader in the future after Virgil goes. And the fact that he has a release clause as well in the new deal with Dortmund makes me feel like it's feasible and possible if they want to go in that direction. Colin said, who's going down? West Ham, Spurs, Forest, Leeds. Still feel like it's going to be Spurs. Yeah, still feel like it's going to be Spurs. I seen a post from a Spurs fan earlier on, actually, Colin. It was quite funny. They said something like, we're in a relegation battle and the teams around us are in title winning form, which is kind of true. Like, if you look at West Ham's run and stuff, it's mad. You know, this weekend they pretty much all won. So, yeah, I still think Spurs, but honestly, I am so surprised the Spurs are there. Like, you know, I know we always talk about too big to go down and all, but like, imagine that stadium in the Championship. Like, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Donald said, I'd vote for you, Craig. Well, remember that, mate, because I might be asking you to do that in the future. Look, I'm getting old. You know, I'm 44, 45 this year. And I look at the world right now, and I look at the online side of it, and I'm seeing too many arseholes, too many money-first merchants, too many I've got no morals getting to the top in life, and not enough people to actually call them out. And I think it's dangerous. I think it's really fucking dangerous. And I think we've let too much go. And it's going to be hard to wrestle back that now. I don't know if other people feel the same, but the world feels like there's been a lot of shysters, if that's the best word I can use, that have managed to worm their way to the top of things and have an undue influence. I mean, just look at FIFA right now. FIFA right now, that's a disgrace. What they've done to the footballing world for this World Cup is an absolute disgrace. They have cashed in because they know they're never going to get away with this again. And they've stuck two fingers up to football fans all around the world and priced the majority of people out of what should be a festival of the best of football. And who are they accountable to? I'm just so fed up of this world being money driven and morality not having nothing to say about it. And I'm fed up of being preached to by people at like Sky Sports and all these other institutions that tell us about things only for when it's one of their own or something major happens. When it's somebody that makes money, all of a sudden excuses come out. Excuses come out. Look at the Prestani situation. That kid from Benfica that racially abused Vinicius Jr. A 6-game ban with the last 2 of them suspended. What message is that sending out to stamp out racism? It's cowardly. It's again, all we have are virtue signalling arseholes who haven't got the stomach to back up. That little toe rag should be rinsed for that. He should be made an example of for what he said. And I hate Vinicius Jr. But racism has no place in sport. And you can make as many glossy videos, put out as many fucking subcommittees and all this other shite. But unless you actually have the balls to have a standard and hold to it, what's the point? It's all just empty and people see through it. That situation was a disgrace. The Enzo Fernandez thing was a disgrace. So many things. Sorry, I'm just in one of their moods today. Apologies. I want to read out something to you guys from, you know, the ITK Space account. So remember I made a video during the week where I said my information was that Yan Diomande has chosen Liverpool and he wants to come to Liverpool. I made that video during the week, and then I seen this today from the Space account. Said RB Leipzig have now decided to make a final push at the end of the season to convince Yan Diomande to extend his contract, offering a significant pay rise that would also include a release clause for the following summer. Jurgen Klopp is heavily involved in the process, and the club are prepared to exhaust every option, fully aware of the message it would send if they were to lose their standout player after just one season. Here's the interesting part though. Nevertheless, there's a growing sense within Leipzig and across the wider industry that Diomande already has a clear destination in mind. There were indications as early as January, first revealed by him, and a personal agreement with a Premier League club could already be in place, with Bayern Munich's representatives having the feeling that that destination is none other than Liverpool FC, England's most mythical footballing institution. Now, he goes on a little bit longer, but I do think that's the direction of travel. And I do think Liverpool will be moving for Yan Diomande. And I can say this pretty categorically. If they do move, he's coming. I can't speak to the PSG side. Now, that is something I don't have any information on, if that would be too appealing to them, how far along they are in their inquiries. I don't know from the PSG side. So I'd have to say, look, PSG at this moment in time are a hot property. And they've got a great brand of football, a coach that's got them playing. They're defending European champions. So I don't know. I don't know. And also the financial might that they have. I don't know. But Liverpool, I would say, right now are the favourites. Tiger Valley said, this is why you get in trouble, and it's a good thing. Don't ever drop the honesty. I won't. Ever. My mother always told me my mouth's going to get me in trouble, but, you know, something's either right or it's wrong. And somebody gave me a bit of advice once, Tiger Valley, and it stuck with me. They said you never have to talk yourself into doing the right thing, which is true. You only ever have to talk yourself into doing something you've got doubts about. Your gut feeling's normally the right one. Craig, did you see the 21s today? Shame to lose on pens, but Morrison and Wright were brilliant. I didn't see it, David, but I heard Will Wright scored a brace, if I'm not mistaken, which is great. I have to be honest, I'm terrible, mate, about keeping up with what's going on with the 18s and 21s. I just don't have the time. It's always an area that I wish I could bring somebody into the channel to focus on more and to give us more updates on it, because it's an area that does fascinate me, that development, but I just don't have the time. Jack used to be really good at it. Jack Gill used to be really good at looking at the underage teams. So yeah, I wish I had more time to see it, but I didn't. But really excited to see the preseason with Will Wright, see if he gets some minutes, see how he's chugging along. Yeah, it was a good signing when we got him. Obviously, there was a bit of a race for a signature. Arsenal tried to come in at the end as well, but Liverpool got the deal done and over the line. Actually, full disclosure on that, I thought we'd lost him to Arsenal, and then you know, he held firm and Liverpool got the deal done. Darwizzy said, this is my opinion, but these so-called journalists, John Barnes, Carragher, etc., and Redknapp, they want to keep Slot. But here's, again, what I would say. None of them have given a real reason, other than the only reason that they want to keep him is that this season's had loads of roadblocks in his way. That's it. That's the only reason anybody seems to have to want to keep Slot. It's that there was things this year that people deem extraordinary. But I think, while you have to acknowledge that there is some truth to that, it has been a season that has had, obviously, some extraordinary circumstances, particularly around Diogo and stuff like that. But I do think there's too many allowances being made for those failures, and what this season has been, because you can look at it another way. The points tally, the maximum points tally that this league will be won with this year is 85 points. And we're not even in the mix. That doesn't sit well with me, because we've been ridiculed as winning league titles in poor seasons for the Prem. But 85 points maximum, probably 83. But 85 is the maximum that this league will be won with this year. And we're nowhere. Not even in the conversation. And as I've said many times on this channel, if I seen us getting better as the year's gone on, if I seen performances starting to show positive signs, I promise you I'd be far more understanding. But I'm adamant that since last March, April, nothing has got better. Nothing has showed signs that he's figuring it out. Nothing. And we've said this. How many good 90 minutes have we had all year? Usually if a manager's figuring it out, it would get better towards the end and you'd have an end of a season that makes you feel optimistic for the next season. I don't feel that at the minute. Even yesterday with that win and the Everton win, moments at the end of a game. Not a game plan that was put out there that we executed and blew away the opposition. Just moments of individualness have got us out of these situations. So Aaron, this is where I show my stupidity, mate. I don't know how to read odds that way. I'm a fractions man when it comes to betting. So is that 1.33 to 1? So that would be what? Is that like 5 to 4? Something like that? Yeah, when I bet, I always do it in fractions, mate. Sorry. So is that like 5 to 4 on? Or 5 to 4 against, sorry. Something like that, 1.33. Yeah, sorry, excuse my stupidity, mate, but whenever I go onto my betting account, if anything's in decimals like that, I change it to fractions because the only way I can figure it out. Randy said there are teams in the Premier League with half the quality in their team we currently have. It's 4 to 3. Cool, 4 to 3. That's short. That still feels short. 4 to 3. Like, if you think about all the pro-Arna, he's staying stuff, 4 to 3, it should be a lot longer than that at this point. Like, 4 to 3 is nearly even money. And for a manager that's been given an absolute carte blanche backing in the media by that should be longer. So, still seems to be some money then going down on Alonso. Sorry, I was reading something and I'm going to go back. There are teams in the Premier League with half the quality in their team we currently have, yet not having a poor season we're having. Exactly. I come back to the Sunderland game. That was a real eye-opener for me. When Sunderland came to Anfield and I seen a team that had 13 new players signed in the summer, much better drilled, much better coached, much fitter than us. That told me everything I needed to know about those excuses about a churn of players. Because what they did was absolutely bring in players to work to the system in the way that Lebris wants them to play. And the manager drilled it into them. And you could see it. They were far better coached with 13 new signings. No excuses there. Now, I've read an article this week that said if they don't get European football, they might sack their manager. And this is year one promoted to the Premier League. And they're holding their club to a higher standard. So why is it that he can come up from the Championship, bring in 13 new players, and Sunderland can look better coached than us? And they look like they understand what the manager wants. That was a huge turning point for me in the whole slot thing. Is I looked at it and thought, so you can make a lot of new signings and it still work if the players are well coached and well motivated and understand what's being asked of them. Where else were we? Sorry, there was one more I wanted to get. That Newcastle Carabao Cup final game was very alarming, said Sharkovic. Oh, it was shocking. Shocking. I think what kind of glossed over that a little bit, Sharkovic, and again, I'm only speaking from memory, it almost felt like we lost that final, but we sort of felt a little bit happy for the Newcastle fans. As happy as you could after losing the final, if you get me. It was like, all right, we lost it, but Newcastle won it, and that was a lovely moment for them and their fans, and it was a title drought or trophy drought for them that was over, and it was a huge thing. I think that kind of took away some of the bitterness, if that makes any sense, or maybe some of the outrage of it. But that day, they were the better team. Can't argue about that. They deserved to win that game. They were better because they were better coached. And again, I keep coming back to that word better coached, or that phrase, because again, how many times this season have you seen the players look confused or ignoring what they're being told to do? UKJ101 said, what I think people need to realise is that slot ball is great. Feyenoord 23-24 was really good. Issue is, where is it gone? But Feyenoord is in the Eredivisie. And the standards there and the expectations there are way different. And I'm wondering, is that philosophy not transferable? And I've been wondering it a little bit. Because there's no way, like, Slot's not a shit coach. I just don't know if it's a fit. I think he will have success elsewhere. But he doesn't seem to really get to grips with our club and the Premier League and the rigours and the physicality of it. It's a very different animal. Cool Andy said, it can't just be me who believes Liverpool will finish third and become great again next season. I think we lose at Old Trafford, and I think we beat Chelsea, maybe beat Villa. I don't think we finish third now. I think we finish fourth. Yeah. Like, we have a tough run in, so it's going to be interesting to see. And yeah, Old Trafford's going to be big. It's going to be big for them. They have to get a result there, and I'm not feeling confident we will. Terry, thank you for upgrading your membership, bro. 11 months with us as well. Thank you, my man. Terry Ryan, appreciate you. Joseph said, he's not a bad manager, it's just not working at the minute. I just don't feel it's a right fit, that's it. Like, this is not personal. And I think, yeah, he would be all right somewhere else. I just don't think this is a good fit, and I don't think culturally it's a good fit. You have to admit, he had all this season, and the goal he scored, I don't know what that means. Paris was very, very good, so I'm not worried at all. I'm sorry about the mispronunciation. I have a disability. So, what you are? Not really, not sure about the last part there, Jonathan. Paris are very good, mate. I've no argument about that. But for me, Jonathan, if we're going to go play PSG, you know that phrase, mate, going out on your shield? That's what I want to see us do. Because when we played them last year, that was a heavyweight clash. That was two teams going at it. Two teams playing it the right way. Two teams wanting to win. Two teams playing on the front foot. 12 months later, Jonathan, mate, when we played them, it feels like we went there not to be battered. And we went there to keep the tie alive somewhat for the second leg. But we were beaten twice, 2-0. And that's after them losing their goalkeeper and us spending 450 million quid. We went and we were totally played off the park. And it wasn't even competitive. So I just don't see that positivity, mate. We're regressed from where we were. Craig, I respect your opinion. I'm definitely slot in rewind the last couple of months of Klopp. If you were offered a league title and 2 Champions League qualifications in 2 seasons, be grateful. So that's an argument, Gavin, that I've seen quite a bit, mate. And I think from the outside or from above, there's some sense to it. But I think context is important with it. You would have expected the league title to have come in the second year, and maybe him to figure it out in the first year, and then things to click and get better. But it's so weird, Gavin, mate, when you see we won the league, we add in the players and we go backwards and we're unable to recapture it. And that's the alarming part. We can't quite recapture ourselves, our mojo. Then you've got the fallout with some players and some other stuff as well. But on the Champions League qualification thing, my arrogance might be playing a part here, but that's a gimme for me. You know, it shouldn't even be a debate that we're qualifying for the Champions League, because we should be challenging for the title. So qualification for the Champions League is no prize for me. It's expected. Challenging for the title, for the FA Cup, for the Champions League, for the League Cup, that's what counts. You know, anything outside of a Champions League, you're gone immediately, regardless of any other circumstances. So I don't view him getting into the Champions League at the end of this season as being any type of step forward. You know, but like I said, I understand the context of what you're trying to say. I just think it doesn't paint the full picture of how bad it's gotten this year. James Bailey said, Craig, do you think whether Slot stays or goes, the club will make additions to the staff and improve the coaching? So, yeah, what's intriguing to me, James, is the whole situation with Johnny Heidinga. Like, again, if we're in this space of they want to back Slot, why did they not let him bring back in Johnny Heidinga? I don't understand that one either. You know, I find it hard to take our owner seriously with wanting success when, look, Steven Gerrard said it himself yesterday that Semenyo and Gay should have been Liverpool players, and it hurts to see them playing for Man City. Everybody knew what we should have done in January. And I'm willing to almost give a pass on the Semenyo one, but Gay was just ridiculous. How do you go with a straight face and tell the world you wanted him in August, you want him next August, but in the middle of the season, when we've gotten worse, the centre-back situation for us has become more problematic because of Giovanni Leone's injury, and they do nothing about it. And I'm supposed to believe as a fan that they're doing everything to win, where Man City add in those two players and are on for a domestic treble. Make that make sense. I'm fed up under FSG of seasons that just fade away and could have been salvaged. Think back to the Arthur Melo situation. Think back to the Ozan Kabak Ben Davies situation, even in Klopp's time. And then we see Slot get everything that we wanted Klopp to get, fail with it, and people still want to make excuses for it. I'd love for it to be better next season. I hope it's better next season. But I don't see it. I really just don't see it. Nadir said, hey Craig, I'm so frustrated to see how far the standards have dropped. We're winning no trophies and struggling to qualify for Champions League football is good enough for any coach to keep his job at Liverpool. I'm the same, bro. Not even hitting a semi-final in any competition. I remember being told that Plymouth Argyle wasn't going to happen again. That there was not going to be any team put out there that were on a hiding to nothing and were going to get beaten. And then at the very first time where things get a little bit squirrely for him, he puts that team out in the League Cup and we get our asses handed to us. Which was against everything that we were told last summer was to be stopping. And yet there's still people make excuses for it. I was, like, all I could think about was the people that spent their hard-earned money to travel to go to that League Cup game. And they look at the team and they look at the bench and they know that they've been taken for a ride. That team's been put out there like lambs to the slaughter. Because it wasn't even a bench that was filled with talent to come on to try and rescue it. The best you were getting out of that team was a draw on penalties. And that was the thing we were told wasn't going to happen. And at the very first chance it happens and people want to trip over themselves to make excuses. Paul said, hey Craig, been thinking about what you felt after the Palace win. Same this end too. So flat. Well, fat's my end, sorry. So flat. Thoughts for next season. head and heart, keep doing, my friend. Cheers, Paul and young Alfie. I have no excitement for next season, Paul, at the minute. At the minute, I have to say, at the minute, mate, I've got none. And it's not just you and I, mate, that maybe felt that flatness after the Palace game. It feels like wins are in spite of the system and not because of it. And I'm open to being wrong about this. Like I've said so many times on here. But nobody has put forward evidence to show why they think it'll get better. And again, my logical brain said 5 changes last year, this conjecture this year, up and down performances, rebuild. Why is it going to be any different when you add in another 5? If he couldn't get the first 5 in, and remember who these 5 were. These weren't 5 bums that were brought in. It was Alexander Isak for 125 million, Florian Wirtz for 116 million, Jeremy Frimpong for 30 million, Milos Kerkez for 40 million, and is there another one I'm missing out on? Georgi Marmadarashvili came in. I think there's probably one more I'm missing out on. Anyway, a lot of money spent, players brought in, and no step forward. None. Lucas, did I miss your super chat, bro? My apologies, sir. Let me scroll up and find it. 1 second, Lucas, my man. Let me find it here for you. One sec, I can't seem to see it. Bear with me, I'll go a different way. Where are you? Don't see it, mate. Don't see a super chat with your name on it. Adam said, "Hey Craig, God forbid it happens, but if we have a poor start next season, do FSG sack Slot?" Yes, I think they do. Yeah, I think they do, but I guess at that point, has the damage been done for that season? Can you go get the right coach? Will they be available? Can you get the players that are there to stay on? Yeah, there's a lot that would be up in the air. But yes, I do think they would sack him. But they should have sacked him now. He should be gone in the summer. I'm missing players, Hugo. Thank you. Yes, Hugo. Of course it is. So yeah, as I said, Hugo Ekitike, Florian Wirtz, Alexander Isak, Jeremy Frimpong, Milos Kerkez, not like bums, top-notch players brought in. And he can't figure it out. That's weird. Do you think going from Maka to Wharton is a sideways move, meaning we get a player similar to what we have, hoping it'll be an improvement? So, really good point, and myself and Keane were actually debating this, and Keane made some great points earlier on. We were talking in the Discord group about the whole Wharton, Mateus Fernandez kind of conversation. And yeah, Keane made some great points. Some great points about not thinking that it would be that step forward for us. And I'm absolutely open. Like, I'm not for 1 second saying Wharton is I've said many times, if I could have anyone, I'd go for Elliot Anderson. But Wharton just always felt like Liverpool would go in that direction. But Mateus Fernandez and others are absolutely in there as a good show. And Leone as well, the chat are saying to me, yes, Giovanni Leone as well brought in. Well, look, it's tough to make any kind of judgment on Giovanni because he was so unlucky with that ACL injury. In fact, I probably have made a judgment on Giovanni Leone in that I think he's going to be incredible, which is weird after seeing him for such a little period of time. But I've no doubts that kid's going to be a great defender. He looks the part. So yeah, sorry to talk to what do you guys think on the number 6 position? Because like I said, Keane made some really good points to me in Discord that kind of did get me thinking since, I have to say. I was concerned about the homegrown rule at some point, but we are going to see a lot of non-homegrown places free up as well. If Allison leaves, with Salah leaving, Robertson's heading out. So, yeah, I do think maybe, look, at this point, who would I prefer? I think Keno's probably talked me into Mateus Fernandez over Wharton, to be honest. Interesting. João Gomez. So on the João Gomez one, Eddie, I'm not saying it's a done deal because it isn't, but there was an article the other day to say that Atletico Madrid have open conversations. But interestingly, Atletico Madrid are also interested in Alexis McAllister. So I wonder, would there be a world, thinking out loud, that Alexis McAllister got sold to Atletico and we brought in, let's say, João Gomez and Mateus Fernandez, something like that. And the honest answer is I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, happy to have the conversation. And also, when we talk about a number 6 at Liverpool, we have to think about it a little bit differently than how a number 6 looks in a team that doesn't see the ball as much. The example I gave to Keane was, do you remember when we signed Simon Mignolet? He had like the highest save percentage or something like that in the Premier League, but he was facing far more shots. But what you need at Liverpool with a goalkeeper is somebody who can keep concentration, because you mightn't do much for large swathes of the game, but then you have to be focused and switched on and ready to go. So when we think about a number 6, I think we have to think about it a little bit differently than how they look at their current club. Because let's say Wolves, as an example. Well, we're going to see more of the ball than Wolves. We're probably not going to have as much defending to do as Wolves. So the role's going to have to be played in a Liverpool-esque kind of way. So 65% of people have no worries about Alexander Isak, and 35% say yes. And just in case you're wondering about it, it comes from a CARRA opinion piece where he said he doesn't really remember any players coming in and not having a big impact in their first year, going on to then have a big impact at the club. And I think maybe he's a bit concerned about that. Sell Maka by Anderson. Unfortunately, Lucas, my man, I think that's a done deal for Man City at this point. It's kind of widely spoken about that that's going to be where he goes. Sangar of Forest will be a decent DM. I have not seen enough of Sangar, but I don't know. Like, again, he's one we had a chance to get and didn't. Like, Kefren Thuram's name's been thrown around again, and he was another one that, again, we had the chance to get before he went to Juventus and didn't. If we get more homegrown players, it would be great. Then we can have a bigger squad. I think we should need that this season. Yeah, I do think there's been times this season where we've looked at the bench and seen that the opposing team have more players. Like, look at the game yesterday. We were home to Crystal Palace and we didn't fill out our bench. We had one spot left on it. Versus Crystal Palace, who were the travelling team that had a full bench. That's weird. Because if the very least you would think, right, well, we'll bring through another youth player and put them onto the bench to give them the match day experience. And, if it's going great, then maybe we get to give them a few minutes. But yeah, there's been times this season where we've looked and just thought, oh, 2 keepers on the bench, or, players that he's not going to turn to. Mr. P said, we need to go for Mane at Wolves. So what I would like to do with Mateus Mane, mate, is and I would suggest this to anyone that bought him, buy him and loan him straight back to Wolves and leave him where he is and let him continue his development where he's comfortable. And you would hope that when you see him in the Championship that he'd be a standout and he'd develop and fill full of confidence, get another good season under his belt, then come up and make that step up. That's what I would like to see happen for his career wherever he goes, whether it's Liverpool or anywhere else. I think one more year at Wolves would be probably the best thing for his development. I would love to get in Fernandez at West Ham, young class player, and we'll get a discounted price if they go down. I'm fully up for Mateus Fernandes as a show. I think. Do you think we might see two midfielders brought in? Because if Maka and Jones go, I think you can make an argument for having two deeper line players to compete with each other. And again, we talked about the drop off. We don't want that drop off in the season. Like if we put out a team for the FA Cup and let's say we sign Mateus Fernandes and Joe Gomez. Let's say Mateus Fernandes gets rested, Joe Gomez comes in. You want that rhythm and that level to be pretty much the same. Craig, honest opinion, do you think Arne cares to being Liverpool manager? He seems completely uninterested and not very passionate. So, tough to say doesn't care. But I've made this point a few times. It feels like he thinks he's doing us a favour rather than the other way around, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't feel he's bought into the whole Liverpool project, song and dance. I just don't. You know, not living in and around the city. Just doesn't feel like he's bought into the culture. It just feels like he's a coach and that's it. And it all feels a bit too sterile and a bit too cold and a bit too distant. Yeah, that's how I feel about it and how I've felt about it for a while. Like I tried to force myself into it in the first year when we won the league because, you know, it's hard not to be backing of a coach that's won the league, but I had my doubts even then about certain aspects. And I think, like I've said many times, when things are going wrong, the character of people really comes to the fore. And what I've seen with Slot when things have gone wrong this season is it's everybody else's fault but his. You know, that's what I've seen. A manager who deflects over and over again, rather than taking that heat on himself to take it off the players. I don't like it. Lucas said, Craig, why did we sign Frimpong? We never play him in his best position. Don't know. Because he's a good player. But I think last two games, we've got no Conor Bradley, and he's got two options, Joe Gomez and Jeremy Frimpong, and he hasn't used either of them at right back. That's at least an indictment of the recruitment, if nothing else. And that's what I said. When your back's against the wall, that's when your real character comes forward. And I don't understand how, after what we spent and what we're doing, we're still shoehorning midfielders into right back when there's an actual player we signed for right back or to be an option at right back on the bench. And then Gomez on the bench again. It just takes away from other areas of the pitch, or it takes away, at the very least, from an impactful midfielder coming off the bench. Because let's say Frimpong started that game and he wants to change something up, or midfield isn't as balanced. Well, he doesn't have the option of bringing Jones off and into the game. He has the option to shift them at a right back into midfield again, but he's already got minutes in his legs and stuff at that point. There's just so many little things that just feel off. I find it weird that his family isn't with him. Well, look, that's a family decision. I mean, I don't want to speak about a man's family. It's off limits to me, like, but, you know, what I can say to you is this. I know his agent has spoken with Ajax. It was a bit back, but I know that conversation's been had. There was even a link, actually, to say Chelsea might be interested in him, but, yeah, so I'd seen that link, and I don't know if maybe with his family life situation, which I don't know enough about, maybe he doesn't want to be closer to home. I don't know. But again, it doesn't feel like, even just looking at it through that, let's just, like, for 1 second say his daughter's got exams or whatever, and his family wants to stay in the Netherlands, which is completely normal and understandable. But it's not letting him be the best version of himself then, is it? When at every opportunity he's going to want to understandably go home to his family and stuff like that. It just doesn't feel conducive to getting everything out of him in the project, if that makes sense. It feels like he's one of those people that football is a career to, but not a passion, if that makes sense. At least that's how he comes across. But again, it might just be the type of man he is. Frimpong, only right wing choice for United. Likely, yes. You know, I guess it depends what he wants to do at United. I mean, look, there's definitely an argument to say put Rio on one of the wings. Let's say right wing if he wants to go with Gakpo on the left wing and Isak through the middle. But we all know he's probably not going to do that. So yeah, I would say you probably see Frimpong on the right against United. Craig, it could be said that we have four midfielders that could leave: Stefan, Maka, Endo, Jones. Yeah, I think that's fair. Um, but you'd have to say, with all due respect, only two of them are concerning. Like Endo, look, it feels like that was always going to be a short term cycle for Endo at Liverpool. Um, and it's not like we're losing much minutes between himself and Stefan, but it's still players. I get where you're coming from. Um, but yeah, I think the two concerning areas would be Mack and Jones. I still want to know why Jones wants out. That's what I really, really want to know the answer to, because the minutes thing, I don't know. It feels a bit convenient that now he wants more minutes. Happy last year, happy under Klopp. Now all of a sudden, when Salah's leaving and now he wants minutes and now it becomes a big problem. Again, I can't help but feel it must be something about the manager as well. Edwards dismembered this team like King Edward did to William Wallace. Yeah, I find it weird, the whole thing about Edwards and Hughes not wanting to be here longer. Like I can get Michael Edwards maybe wanting to do a short cycle, come in to do the multi-club thing and buy the clubs and head off. But the Richard Hughes thing just really confuses me. Like I said to you guys yesterday, like put any of us in Richard Hughes' position. So we're at Bournemouth, we're doing a good job there, our work gets noticed at Bournemouth, and Liverpool Football Club come knocking. And straight away you let it be known that you're only coming in for the 3-year cycle. I find that weird, because you would think you're thinking, oh, here we go. I'm getting a seat at the top table. I'm in here. I'm going to build a fucking dynasty at this club. And I'm going to have an era of dominance here with Liverpool. And I'm going to really show what I can do on the big stage. But we don't. We have a lad who wants to head off after just 3 years. And from minute one was only going to do the 3 years. That is weird. That's weird. And it feels weird for FSG to say, okay, then. Yes, you come in, do the 3 years, and then off you pop somewhere else. I think that's a role for me that of all the roles at the club, sporting director in the modern day is the one where you want continuity at. Because he's the one that sets the footballing philosophy. He's the one that thinks long term, to the players coming through from the underage levels, to what the first team needs now, to what it might need in 2 or 3 years, to the relationships with agents, to the contract negotiations. Just feels weird. And like I said, I can understand that people can push back on little points with me. I get it. But my holistic view of Liverpool is that there is 10 little problems, and all the little problems add up to a big problem. And I'm not seeing any of these little things being fixed. Yes, Isaac, well done. You can write Arne Slot, la la la. Well done, mate. Did you do that all on your own? Did you get an adult to help you with that one? If Jones goes to Villa, would you bring Harvey back? I'd be bringing Harvey back anyway. But that decision looks like it's already been made. That yeah, he's not wanted, which is crazy. Because if nothing else, we've damaged his value. Because yeah, look at that deal in its own. What type of fucking genius signed off on that? We'll send him to a club with an option to buy if he plays X amount of games for 35 million. And yet it's pretty clear the manager didn't want him there from the get-go. That it was Monchi, the sporting director, who wanted to bring him in, and Emery didn't want him. And now we've got a player that not only are we not getting the 35 million for, but a player whose value is absolutely going to probably be nearly halved. And these are the clever people making these decisions. Not very clever. Don't get it. Where's the joined up thinking around the goalkeeper situation? It'll stay with me forever that Kelleher was allowed to go. Because I don't know a single Liverpool fan now that doesn't think Kelleher's a better keeper than Georgi Marmadashvili. And now we're being asked to believe that Liverpool were always potentially looking at selling Alisson this year, and now's the time for Georgie to come in. Well, that could have been Kelleher. So why the fuck did we let him go? When he'd been brought up through the Liverpool way, had shown he's able to come in and step up, had won us a cup. It's madness. Can play with the ball at his feet. Calm under pressure. Premier League proven. It's a mad one. Who would be the top 3 managers you would have if Slot got sacked? Alonso. I could understand Nagelsmann, although I would again have concerns. I wouldn't go down the Sebastian Hoeneß and Andoni Iraola route personally, because I still think it's a big jump and it's a big club to be at the head of, the pinnacle of. It's a little bit more than just coaching. Enrique will be the dream, obviously. Outside of that, there's probably not too many. There really isn't. Look, nobody will convince me that Alonso with Gerrard as his assistant wouldn't absolutely just set the world on fire. Like, imagine just even that. Imagine you're trying to sign a player and you're there, and the player, you get to the point where the player wants to sit down and talk to the manager. Imagine you as a player coming in to talk to Xabi Alonso and Steven Gerrard about coming in to play in their team. That's, let's be honest, you're sitting there going, serious people here. Imagine looking over the sideline there, them two in conversation as they're trying to figure out how to make a change in the game or whatever. The connection to the fans is immediate. The understanding of the Liverpool setup is immediate. Mark Amo said, no buyback is ridiculous. They've no idea what they're doing. It's so crazy, isn't it? We've seen so many players that we've sold that we've had options, like Kwanzaa, which is great. I'm not saying we shouldn't have them. But how do you not put that in with Kelleher? That seems insanity. It seems mad. Didn't Elliot get sold because he was small, or have I heard the wrong info? I don't know exactly why he got sold, Haley, other than he was told he probably would get limited time and he wanted to play. And like I've said about Jones and any other player, I'll never sit here and criticise a footballer that wants to play. Never. I'm not going to do it, because I understand they've short careers. And that's why I understood Kelleher wanting to go. But I can't understand how the club didn't think he would have been good enough in the longer term, because the body of work was there. So with Elliot, it was for me a case of I didn't want him to go. I never wanted him to go. But I understood if he wasn't going to get game time, with this going to be a World Cup year, that okay, look, let the kid go play football. But they couldn't even sort that out for him, could they? They couldn't even get that. So now he's not going to go to a World Cup. That, look, it might have been a long shot for him to get to, but he's no chance now. And he hasn't got minutes in his legs. And a year of that young lad's career has gone out the window. And the fucking Chuckle brothers overseen that. And these are the smart people. Is there a real superstar sports director? For a while it was Monchi. It seems to kind of, Matt, come and go in cycles, doesn't it? Like, some people come in and are hot for a bit. Sometimes it comes down to relationships with agents and, yeah. I guess it depends on what you want from a sporting director. If you want somebody to punch above their weight, make smart signings and, good financial sense, maybe you want one kind of guy. If you want somebody to come in to get big deals over the line, maybe you want another kind of guy. So yeah, look at Chelsea. I don't know if I'm wrong, but I think they have 5 sporting directors, and that's just basket case stuff. Read something about Torres at some point in the future as gaffer. I think he's running Atletico second team. Oh yeah, he's working as a coach with Atleti's underage team. And you know, he's another one that would dream about Anfield someday. But look, he's taken a slower burn in the managerial sense. Like, he's really kind of building to it, which is great to see. And wish him all the best on it. Again, I'm sure he's somebody that can get his views across, and certainly somebody who understands football. How many of those sweaters do you have, Craig? Of this exact one, 2. Adidas, 90% of my wardrobe is the honest answer. Does Alonso always play with 3 centre-backs? No. He can play with 4 as well, which he did at times at Madrid. Right, let's run through some more news stories for you. So, this one here from Football 365 said Liverpool are still in the race to hijack Spurs' agreed transfer for Senesi. So, apparently we're still interested there. Him going to Spurs is, of course, subject to them staying up. So, this piece reckons that Liverpool might still have a bit to say in that. Gazzetta Italia have said Kostas Tsimikas will certainly depart Roma this summer, with the Serie A side having no intention of signing the defender permanently. But yet we're supposed to believe he's going to be good enough to replace Andy Robertson. Then there's the piece about Alisson that I wanted to come on to, actually. So this piece here said Liverpool want £9 to £13 million for Alisson. Now it's been reported in this article, it said in Calcio Mercato, that the Premier League champions have been left irritated by Juve's latest request. The asking price has been set at between £9 and £13 million for Alisson, but Juve don't intend to pay anything. Therefore, the clubs are miles apart in their valuation of this deal right now. The main obstacle remains reaching an agreement between the clubs. Liverpool is asking for between 10 and 15 million euro, while Juventus wants to lower that figure or even eliminate it entirely. Which would be, again, insanity. And why does Alisson want to go? Can we please have this conversation? Can journalists please start asking this? Why does Salah, Robertson, Alisson, all of a sudden, all want to try something new? Jones, Gomez. Come on. It doesn't take a conspiracy theorist to start looking at the manager. You know, when all these players who are experienced players that have seen Liverpool at its best suddenly, coincidentally, want to go. I find that a bit suspect. I think it's what Lee said there. It's slot nobody wants to play for him. I honestly think that's the case. And I think Edwards is so unwilling to move on this that he's willing to just rinse all them players out. Maybe some of them are coming to a natural end anyway, but rinse them all out to make way for his new breed, which are the very ones that still have some proving to do. Ben said Edwards wants every bit of Klopp gone. If I feel that as well, you know. I think we all deep down know it's not, but it feels weird that everybody's bending over so much to make excuses for Slot or to back him in spite of evidence to the contrary. I don't get it. I don't get it, other than, and I'm a bit reticent to throw around the lazy things like they don't want to admit they made a mistake. Like, that's the easy throw out there line. But sometimes it feels like there might actually be something to that, because you're then looking at this going, right, all the evidence is saying it's not working. You've not been able to show any evidence or show any articles or data that shows it is working or it's going there, other than trust me, bro. So, what the fuck's going on? It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Do you think we will end up above Manchester United? No, I don't. I think we'll probably finish up a few points behind them. I think we'll probably finish fourth at this point. But yeah, I look, it takes a lot to think we're going to go to Old Trafford and win, because we're not playing well. They beat us at Anfield. I was at that match. It broke my fucking heart watching it. It was awful. You know, and despite the fact that we've beaten Crystal Palace and we've beaten Everton, we've not exactly put in riveting performances. You know, we beat Everton with a last-minute Van Dijk header, which was great determination from the captain. And we beat Palace yesterday when the game could have gone a different way. Your goalkeeper gets man of the match, and yet nobody's talking about the fact that your goalkeeper got man of the match at Anfield and as a negative thing. We're all kind of so caught up in saying he got man of the match. Isn't it great that Freddie Woodman put in a good performance? And in one way, of course, it is. But in another way, our man of the match at Anfield was our goalkeeper. But we're putting a positive spin on that. They had twice as many shots on targets as us at Anfield. Our goalkeeper got man of the match. And this is a good thing somehow? It's good in one sense, because, you know, your goalkeeper did well and I'm delighted for Freddie Woodman. But the fact that he had to be man of the match is kind of bullshit. Nathan Walker said, we'll beat United. Based off what though, Nathan, mate? Honestly, I would have said we beat them at Anfield as well. And we didn't. So I want us to beat United, of course I do. But I really struggled to figure out how you can be so definitive on it. I wish I had that confidence, mate, and I want us to. I really do, but I don't know. I think it's a bit of a leap to be that confident. Consider ending in third after this season. It doesn't make any difference to me. It's still not top, and we're still not challenging for the league title. So it's nothing. It's like finishing second, 15, 20 points behind the leader. It's nothing. It doesn't mean anything to me. Fifth, fourth, third, it's empty. Because we didn't have a title race. We didn't defend our title properly. We didn't do anything. So the whole season's been a failure. That's the way I look at it. I don't think getting into the Champions League is anything other than what should be happening. Shay said, do you reckon Slot will still be at Liverpool next season? Well, it's hard to logically think anything else at this point, Shay, when we're being constantly just told over and over and over and over again that he's staying. I mean, put it this way, Shay, if he's not here, journalists may want to start hiding, because I promise you, if he's not here, every one of those fuckers that were just ad nauseum just repeating the club's line, I'm going to have some fun if he's not, and I'm going to let off a lot of steam in that regard. But I also hold a lot of anger towards these journalists anyway, because I don't think they're being balanced in what they're saying. Any update on Mo's injury? Only Kenny, what the Egyptian national team director posted, or was quoted as posting or saying, which is something along the lines of, he'll be grand for the World Cup. A lot of doubt on whether he'll play for Liverpool again. Outside hope, maybe the last game. But look, mate, like everyone, like you and everybody else, I have my fingers crossed, hoping that we can see him back out there again properly, because, you know, we want to sign off Mo's time in the right way. Paddy Wacker said, Craig, you said something that I can't get out of my mind. Has Salah signed an NDA to be let go on a free? I'm heartbroken to see our squad being dismantled. Look, I'll probably never be able to find out the answer to that. But let's wait and see. Because it is a bit weird, right? That you know you can get a transfer fee there, but you let him go for free. It's a bit weird. And it's one thing, like, I know it's been packaged up with, well, because of his service to Liverpool. Well, then why aren't you letting Alisson go for free? How is it you want 9 to 13 million pound for the goalkeeper, but you want to let Salah just walk out the door for free? So why are you respectful to one player and not the other? If Alisson says he wants to go to Juventus and try something new, then why aren't you ripping up his contract and saying, thank you for your service, you dictate where you'd like to go, my man? I find that strange as well. And like I said, it's not really joined up thinking. So in my deepest, darkest thoughts, I've certainly wondered, was Mo told, you can, do what you want to do, but shush. No bad mouthing. Straight away, you've seen others around Egypt come out and say it's the manager. He's gone because of the manager. He's gone because of Slot. Leona said, I know, but it's Arne's thought. He never really goes for the jugular, if you know what I mean. Exactly. Yesterday, 2-0 up. We didn't go and win a 3-4, 5-0. We sat back. Second half, they came on to us. That goal was a bit mad. And then after that, they hit the post. Could have gone different. Now, I think that might have been offside, but the flag never went up. So, I'm sure if he'd have scored, maybe it'd have gone to VAR and he could have been offside. But my theory in that scenario would have been to defend from the front, to make sure that they don't get to our 18-yard box, to put balls in and maybe get a break or a second ball. Make them earn the right to get there. Not bringing on another midfielder and naturally dropping 15 yards deeper and inviting pressure onto you. That's not, I think, the best way to see out a game. It's to keep going on the front foot. Don't do anything outlandish, but pen them back in and say, if you want to get into our half, we'll play around this press. And if you don't do that, well, then you're just going to end up pumping long balls to us. We're going to mop them up, knock it around the back and kill time. But he didn't. He went straight like he's always done. He went for the pragmatic approach of taking off an attacker and bringing on a midfielder. It's not a coincidence that we've had so many games sorted in the 90th minute, one way or the other this season. It's because that's when he just throws caution to the wind and just empties out the bench when we're chasing something or we need something miraculous at the end of a game. Salah behaved the same way when Klopp put him on the bench. Yes and no. Yes and no. But he wasn't pushed out of the club at that point, was he? John, though, said Slot has no idea what he's doing. Tactically, we're a shambles. The wins are papering over the cracks. The play is so slow and boring. No pace or fast transitions. Sack him now. I'd be in that camp, mate. I'd be with you on that one. Sorry, I'm just making sure I haven't forgotten that in my notes here. Oh, I think I've covered most of it. Right, my friends, I'm going to go and record an update video where we're going to be talking about a few interesting bits, like a bit of a mad show to fix our short-term forward problem. I'm going to give you a bit of a crazy shout on that and a few other bits and pieces. Thank you, as always, for coming in and joining me this evening. I'm well aware it's been a tough season for us all and it hasn't been as fun as we would have liked, and we haven't had maybe some of the excitement that we would have liked this season. But I want you to know, again, I thank each and every one of you for your time and your support of our channel. Without you, we wouldn't have a channel, and we're well aware of that. So thank you all dearly. I'll see you tomorrow. Keep an eye out for this video dropping in a few as well. But really, really appreciate you all. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Much love.